Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Cliff Ravenscraft Show, a podcast devoted to helping you take your message, your business, and your life to the next level. This, my friends, is episode number 478, and I am your host, Cliff Ravenscraft, the podcast answer man. And well, my friends, I just returned from an amazing holiday weekend, Thanksgiving holiday here in the United States, and my family and I had the most awesome opportunity and blessing to spend 5 days together in New York City. In fact, my daughter, who just turned 17 on Thanksgiving Day, she had been in New York already for several days in advance of the rest of our family showing up there with her. And the reason why we went to New York City this year was that she had the blessing and opportunity to actually dance in the Macy's Day Thanksgiving Day Parade. This has been a dream of hers since she was 8 years old. She's been dancing as a part of a dance studio doing ballet, tap, jazz, all that stuff. She's been dancing since she was 4 years old, and her studio goes to New York City every 4 years if you qualify. And this year, her dream of actually dancing in this parade has become a reality, and that happened for her on Thursday, Thanksgiving Day. I was so proud of her. And then after we flew in and met up with her after she was finished with that, we just had an amazing time, just a vacation away from everything. And I got to explore so many of the awesome sites that I've seen over the years in my own travels to New York City for conferences. I got to share those with my family, even took all of our family for Phantom of the Opera on Broadway, which is something that nobody else, other than my daughter and I, we've gone to New York separately before. But anyway, we just got back from an awesome trip and completely unplugged from everything. Didn't even take a laptop with me on this trip. And that's pretty interesting as it relates to what I'm about ready to share with you. And in fact, today, what I want to talk to you about is for the past 5 years, every year I've done something unique and different, and that is that I have offered a Black Friday through Cyber Monday sale. Now, this isn't something that I see a lot of my friends in the online internet marketing space doing. I see them doing product launches and things of that nature, which are really cool. But for the past several years, I have played around with this idea of doing a Black Friday through Cyber Monday sale. And each year that I've done this, the sale has focused exclusively on providing deep discounts for my digital training tutorials. These pre-recorded digital training products that people have been able to buy from me for years. And in fact, what I want to tell you is that the very first year that I did this, it was so exciting. Our family was at that time getting ready to go and leave for the Thanksgiving holiday, and we were heading to the Smoky Mountains. And by the way, just a brief moment just to say that my heart and prayers go out to all of the people in the Smoky Mountains. I don't know if you guys have heard, but there was a tragic, historic fire of just like amazing proportions. It's just an incredible wildfire that took out so many homes, so many buildings, and unfortunately even claimed the lives of at least 7 people that they know of so far. Lots of people without their homes. So my thoughts and prayers are with the people in the Smoky Mountains. It's a near and dear to my heart. My family has a lake house down in the Smoky Mountains, and we go down there quite frequently. And this is it's just tragic. So anyway, but just to get back to the story here, the first year that I did this Black Friday sale, this is about 5 years ago, we were on our way to Tennessee, to the Smokies. And we had I had already had all these tutorials that had been created and that people were purchasing, and they'd been selling very well. But I decided that maybe if I offered these at a discount, between Black Friday through Cyber Monday, I'd heard so many people talking about why businesses do these sales and how effective they are and how people get caught up in the frenzy. And it's like, wow, that's something that I've wanted. And now is an opportunity to get that at a deep discount, and that people do respond to sales. And I will tell you that I have been offering this for the last several years, and I have seen a significant spike in my sales every year that I've done it. So much so that here's the deal, that while I'm out of town enjoying myself on vacation with my family, with this sale, I'm able to, and I've done this this has been the case for the past several years, I was able to generate just as much income and sometimes more income per day than I would normally generate in the regular routine running of my business working in my business on a daily basis. I actually made more per day every year that I've done Black Friday sales while I'm away not working in my business at all. It's really the first time I got truly excited about and had a deep appreciation for what really is passive income. And the first year it was even more fun than that. The push notifications were a relatively new thing with iPhones, and I found this app that allowed me to set it up so that my shopping cart would send an email to this service that was connected to an app on my iPhone, so that every time a push notification was sent to that email, I would get a special sound effect on my phone, which was a sound effect of a cash register going cha-ching. And my family knew about this, and there was something that my kids wanted to do. They said, "Dad, when we go down, can we do this year?" And I'm pretty sure that they wanted to go to the Biltmore. They wanted to actually see the Biltmore, all decorated for Christmas. I'm almost positive that's what it was. And of course, a family of 5 going to the Biltmore, that's kind of pricey. And I said, "Listen, here's the deal. If all of a sudden, if we can get 10 sales before we get to Tennessee, then I will take you guys to the Biltmore." So they knew that every time I made a sale, I would get a cha-ching on my phone. And so we were going down the road, and all of a sudden the phone would go cha-ching, and they're like, "Yeah!" There's cheering throughout the car, and it was exciting. And the cool thing is that it certainly did get 10 cha-chings before we got to Tennessee, which was a 5.5 hour, 6 hour drive. So certainly met that goal. But the cool thing is that the phone continued to ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching all weekend long. And I just tell you that for me, it was just, wow, that is so exciting to be here having so much fun. And this is work that I've already done. Yeah, it was awesome. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And by the way, every year it's generated thousands of dollars in sales that would have never happened had I not actually created the sale. I might have actually, matter of fact, during the holiday, I don't even know how many people would even think to go and buy with all the, the distraction of all the other sales everywhere else. So, normal sales probably would have dipped a little. And instead of that, I saw a massive spike. So that's the experience that I've had with my Black Friday sale. Now, due to that first year, I've offered this every year since then. And in the past couple years, I will tell you, there have been a few challenges that I have had to overcome. And it was basically due to the technology that I was using for shopping cart solutions and my product deliveries. And if you have been listening to my podcast for the past several months, you probably have been hearing me talk about how I've been taking my digital tutorial distribution to the next level, my email strategies to the next level. And certainly that is something that has helped these issues greatly. But let me just tell you some of the issues that I've experienced. First was my discount code issue. In my old shopping cart, which I was using eJunkie for everything, my digital tutorial sales, my equipment sales, my coaching, and anything and everything was running through eJunkie, which is an old system. And eJunkie had each of my tutorials was its own product. And there were only 2 options for me to offer. There are 3 options, I guess, of offering discounted pricing. One is I could go in and manually adjust the price on all my tutorials, which I think at the time I probably had about 11 or 12 tutorials available for sale. And so I would have gone in and changed the price on all of those to whatever it was. Let's just say I'm giving 50% off. So I would change the price on all of those. But the thing is that would not give people this feeling of this instant sale. They might just think, well, that's just the normal price. There's not that endorphin that shows the price going from such and such to such and such. So that really wasn't something that I wanted to do, and it's not something I wanted to go in and change all the prices back afterwards. Although I know that sounds silly, but normally the idea of creating these sales is something I do last minute right before I'm getting ready to head out of town. So the other two options would be that I would create a discount code such as Black Friday, and the problem that I would have is that if in the shopping cart that I was using, eJunkie, you couldn't use Black Friday. Well, actually, I think I did eventually find a way that I could do one code, which is Black Friday, could apply to all of the different items, but it was painful to set up. And I know, again, now that I've figured it out, I think last year I did figure it out how I could do it. It wasn't that bad, but it was clunky and it was ugly and it was not a great system. And so for the first few years, what I did is I created a single code, which was Black Friday, and I set that code to offer 50% off. And then in my promotions, I said, hey guys, use the code Black Friday and you can get 50% off any of my digital tutorials. Please note, podcasting A to Z and equipment sales are not included in this sale. And inevitably, I always had one or two or three people who would actually go in and buy an equipment package and put the Black Friday thing in there. And there's just no way I can give people 50% off on an equipment package. I'd be selling it at a deep loss on my end. And I can't even offer podcasting A to Z at 50% off because right now podcasting A to Z is very much hands-on with me, and I know what I need to charge to make that a worthwhile investment for everyone involved. And so, yeah, I had a problem where sometimes these discount codes would cause that problem. Another concern that I had with previous years was my email list concerns. Back then, I was using Aweber, and prior to that, I was using MailChimp. And while there was some functionality for me to have the ability to exclude certain people on my list from getting emails, when it came to actually scheduling broadcasts, a lot of this was manual, this whole segmentation of your list. And it certainly was not intuitive. And quite honestly, I don't know that it would even be possible today to do exactly what I actually did this past weekend with ConvertKit. And so even though Aweber is trying, in my mind, even if it were possible, I wouldn't even want to begin to try to figure out how to do it with Aweber. And I'm almost positive it's impossible, at least what I've done up to this point, and have been able to achieve with ConvertKit. So let me tell you what I've done. So those were the concerns. But this year has definitely been my best experience with Black Friday. And the two reasons is new Kajabi. I've told you that, guys, before that I'm using Kajabi for my digital products store. If you go to store.podcastanswerman.com, you will see my products that are offered there, and you'll see the pricing, and you can click on any of them. It'll take you to a little bit of a deeper description, and you can click to buy those there. And if you do that, it automatically creates you an account in my store. And when you're signed in, any products that you've purchased are in your library. It's a totally awesome system. And then, of course, there's no doubt you've heard me talking about ConvertKit over the past month, maybe even month and a half now. And it's something that is still just blowing my mind about how awesome it is. But what I want to do in this episode is I actually want to share with you what steps I took this year to set up my Black Friday through Cyber Monday sale. And so I'm going to go step by step what went through this process. And I did all of this Wednesday before just the day before we flew out to New York City. All right, so the very first step, I had to decide, what am I going to offer in my Black Friday this year, in this sale? And of course, when I set things up in New Kajabi, this software solution that I have for my digital tutorials, my digital courses, if you will, I made a decision to only add 7 of my existing products available and make those available for purchase. So while before I probably had 10, 12, 13 of them for sale in eJunkie, when I switched everything over, I kind of took that down to 7. And the reason why I did that is because the other tutorials are in need of updating. Not necessarily the information. The information still is valuable today as it was the day I recorded it, but my standards of quality when it comes to aesthetic quality and my quality of branding today, a lot of things have changed since then, and I definitely want things to look a little bit more fresh and modern and up to date. And so I made the decision to not make a lot of those tutorials for sale. Now, currently, I have 7 of them that are still available for sale, and they're up to date and are things that I feel confident in selling. 5 of the tutorials sell for $100 a piece, and 2 of these tutorials sell for $50 each, which means that if you were to buy all 7 tutorials that I currently have available, it would cost you $600. And by the way, these are the real prices that people are paying on a consistent basis. Every week, I get people who are buying these products at those prices. So the real cost, the real value here that people have consistently paid years and years is $600 for these 7 tutorials. Now, I decided that I would do something radical this year for my Black Friday. I figure I'm going to create a deal that will simply be for those who are thinking about buying some of my tutorials or have bought one of them and are thinking about buying 1 or 2 more and trying to decide which one should they invest in first or whatever. I'm just going to make it a no-brainer, easy decision. And I decided to offer all 7 tutorials for $199. So for $199, you get access to all of my existing available tutorials, which saves you over $400. All right. Now, this decision, this first step of deciding what am I going to do for the sale, took me about 10 minutes. All right. This next step that I did was I created an offer in New Kajabi. Again, Kajabi being the software that I use to create my products and deliver them. And one of the things that I love about Kajabi is that the shopping cart is not tied to individual products. So it's not like I can go in and create a product and then put a price on that product and then instantly have it show up with its own shopping cart option and all that stuff. That's not how Kajabi works. Instead, in Kajabi, you create the product or the course or whatever, the tutorial in my case, inside of there, and then you have to decide to make it available via an offer. Now, you can have multiple offers for the same product. So I could actually create a special offer for this product with a unique customized discounted price for a friend of mine. Let's just say if I was going to promote something with Pat Flynn and I was going to say, hey, for the next 30 days, anybody who listens to Pat's podcast, I'm going to give you, whatever. I'm going to give you this item at this discounted price. And then what I can do is that offer has its own unique landing page for the shopping cart. And when people click on that offer, they're taken to that page. But the store, over at store.podcastanswerman.com, that has the default offer, which is the full regular price. The other thing that I can do with a product, and by the way, an offer can have a single product tied to it, or you can do any combination of products. And so when somebody buys an offer from you in Kajabi, in essence, what they're doing is they're buying the offer, and whatever products are tied to that, when they purchase the offer, they are automatically granted access to all of those products. I hope that made sense. So the cool thing is that because of this, I was able to create an offer, put all of the products tied to it, and then I was able to set the price for the offer with all of the products combined. There's no need for a discount code because this offer has its own unique checkout page. And I didn't need to go in and change the prices of the original tutorials, nothing like that. No discount codes. Instead, I have this really cool one checkout solution for this offer. If somebody buys this offer in my shopping cart, boom, they get all 7 tutorials. And then I named that offer the Black Friday through Cyber Monday Tutorial Bundle. By the way, creating this offer in Kajabi took me about 5 minutes. Now, with that being said, I will tell you that learning how offers works and the internal components of Kajabi, there was a learning curve in the beginning. I spent a lot of time working in here trying to figure out how all the dynamics and moving parts work in the background of setting all this stuff up. So it took me more than 5 minutes to learn offers, but now that I know offers, it only took me 5 minutes to set that offer up. I've already set up so many other offers. I know exactly how to do them. Boom, 5 minutes, I was done. All right, the next step that I did was I created a sales page for the Black Friday through Cyber Monday sale. Now, New Kajabi, the software that I use, comes with a landing page creation tool. It's all built into Kajabi, and I absolutely love it. In fact, they just came out with a brand new page building tool with their Premier theme that is just so customizable and expandable. And I'm absolutely addicted to creating landing pages with this tool. In fact, if you want to see the most advanced landing page that I've created so far, head over to podcastinga2z.com, which, by the way, my next session of Podcasting A to Z coming up on Monday, January 2nd, that's less than, actually, as the day that this will be released, it's actually 1 month away. So I would love to work with you as your coach, and whatever the reason, whether you're thinking about Podcasting A to Z and joining me 1 month from now, or if you want to see the most dynamic and well built out sales page that I've created with New Kajabi, head over to podcastinga2z.com. Or if you want to, I created a special link if you wanted to actually see the page that I built for this Black Friday sale, which is just real quick, and I literally spent a total of 20 minutes max. I created a short link for you. It's podcastanswerman.com/Black Friday 2016, all together, no spaces. Again, that's podcastanswerman.com/Black Friday 2016. And it took me about 20 minutes to create that page. And that's because I had pretty much everything you see on the page, I was able to just copy and paste from the actual sales pages for the other individual products. So it was, and all the artwork was there. It was a real simple build, 20 minutes max. And by the way, again, it sounds like that's pretty incredible, right? It took 20 minutes to build that. Well, I will tell you, I invested many hours in learning the ins and outs of these landing pages, these page builder tools. So I'm pretty quick at it and efficient at it these times. And so, yeah, it only took 20 minutes. All right. The next step in my process was I needed to develop an email marketing strategy for the sale. I needed to think it all out, what I wanted to accomplish and what I wanted to happen before I get into ConvertKit and set everything up. So coming up and developing an email marketing strategy. First, I wanted to send an email every day, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, with a second email going out on Monday evening reminding people that the sale was about ready to end. So in my case, this would be an extremely aggressive email campaign. And I know some of my internet marketing friends are like, seriously? Dude, there have been times when I've done 5 emails in a day. Trust me, I've been on your lists and unsubscribed from them all. But anyway, for me, this is an aggressive campaign. 6 emails in 5 days. And in fact, it's actually 7 emails in 5 days for those who are subscribed to my weekly podcasting newsletter that comes out every single Friday. Now, there were some very important things that I wanted to make sure happened or maybe didn't happen while I was doing this email campaign. I wanted to actually limit the number of unnecessary unsubscribes, or at least I wanted to avoid any unsubscribes that were within my power to avoid. All right, and some of the steps that I would take to make sure that would happen is that now that I have ConvertKit, I wanted to make sure that I would not send any broadcast emails to anyone who has already gone through podcasting A to Z. Because anybody who's been through podcasting A to Z, they already have lifetime access to all of these tutorials and a whole lot more than these 7, that's for sure. They have access to everything that I've created up to this point. All right, so number 2, I wanted to make sure that I would not send any of these email broadcasts promoting the sale to anyone who's already told me, hey, Cliff, I don't have a podcast and I have no interest in creating one. All right, now, if you sign up for my email newsletter, one of the very first emails that you're going to get from me, it says, please tell me where you are in your podcasting journey. And it helps me make sure that I only send the right type of emails. And more importantly, helps me avoid sending you emails that I know you won't be interested in. So I've got a number of people on my list who have clicked a link that says, I do not have a podcast and I currently am not interested in creating one. So I wanted to make sure that anybody who told me that would not get this email. All right, or this series, all of these 6 emails in 5 days. I definitely didn't want them to get it. All right, and let's see here. I didn't want to send any follow-up emails to those who have already purchased the product. So I wanted to make sure that if you purchased it, you're not going to get any more emails or 4 or 5 more emails from me saying, hey, come buy this thing. The sale's about ready. If you've already purchased it, there's no need for you to get the email. And then number 4, I wanted to make sure that I did not send any follow-ups to anybody who received the first 1 or 2 or 3 emails and who have actually said, hey, Cliff, you know what? I love you. I love your list. I'm not interested in Black Friday. And if you don't mind, I would rather you not send me any more emails about this Black Friday sale. I wanted to give them that option. All right, so now that's just thinking things out. So far, this is just in my head. What do I want to do? I don't even think I actually wrote all of this out at the time. It's just I knew in my head, these are the things that were going to be a part of how I marketed this Black Friday through Cyber Monday sale this year. Now, just thinking that through, about 10 minutes of my time. Okay, next, I used ConvertKit to do something called creating a link trigger and an automation rule. All right. Now, basically what happens is in ConvertKit, it would allow anybody who is on my list to click a link to tell me that they are not interested in future notifications about the sale. Now, at the end of every broadcast email that I sent out promoting this Black Friday through Cyber Monday sale, at the end of every email, I put this line in there. It says, as you can imagine, I will be sending a few more emails to make sure that I capture everyone's attention about this sale over the weekend. If you would like me to remove you from further notifications about this sale, please click here and you'll not hear anything more about it. All right, so I put that in there. So to make that work in ConvertKit, first I had to go into ConvertKit and tell ConvertKit to add a tag. So if somebody, I said, hey, ConvertKit, if they click this link that I just gave them the option to click to opt out of this, I want you to add a tag to their account that says, and the tag is literally labeled, not interested Black Friday 2016. And by the way, only 89 people clicked that link. However, that's 89 people who I definitely know that I did not frustrate with follow-up emails. That, you know, these are 89 people who I know for a fact they were not interested in any further emails about Black Friday, and because they clicked the link and the tag was added, and because of what you're about ready to hear in the future when I share with you in just a moment, Because of that, those 89 people never got any further emails. They because of this link trigger and this adding of tag, I was able to do this. And then, of course, the thing is when you have them click a link, well, where does that link take them to? I mean, it triggers an automation, but what do you that? I mean, somebody's clicking a link that's going to do something. It's going to open something. So I set it up so that when the person clicking the link to say I don't want any future emails about the sale, it would take them to a landing page that thanked them for letting me know about their email preference related to the sale. And by the way, creating this automation took 2 minutes. That's it. Now, I will tell you there's a learning curve in learning ConvertKit's segmentation option, their tag option, their forms option, their automation rules, link triggers, all of that stuff. It took a lot of time for me to discover how all of that works, but I have a very, very good handle on it now. Spent probably about 2 weeks worth of learning curve figuring it all out. So because of that investment of time of figuring out how ConvertKit, it only took me 2 minutes on Wednesday of last week to get that thing all set up. Now, after I did that, I had to create the actual landing page that I told it to send all those clickers to. And the landing page was simply a very easy, very simple landing page that had a friendly image on it. It's kind of a fun image, actually. I get a lot of great feedback from people who see it. And it has this message, just one little simple statement. It says, "Success. You have successfully unsubscribed from any further updates related to my Black Friday through Cyber Monday sale while maintaining your overall subscription to my mailing list. Thank you so much for being a part of my community." That's it. I just wanted to make sure if they click the link that says, I don't want any future emails about Black Friday, I wanted to make sure that they got some kind of message thanking them, acknowledging that they've done it, that it's been done for them, blah, blah, blah. Creating that landing page literally took me 3 minutes. Super simple. Might have actually even taken less. Anyway, the next step that I did was I created an automation rule that connected my Kajabi account to ConvertKit. Now, to do this, I used a service called Zapier. Hey, Mark Mason, my good friend over there, I just want to say I pronounced it correctly just for you. I'd been calling it Zapier for no apparent reason because it is definitely Zapier, and they allow you to create these things called zaps, which is very similar. Zapier is very similar to this service called If This Then That, or IFTTT.com. All right. Anyway, what it does is it allows you, Zapier is a tool that allows you to access the API of one online service and do things to integrate that with access to another third-party service API. So what happens is I was able to set up my Zapier account to be integrated with Kajabi and also integrated with ConvertKit. And here's what happens. If somebody purchases the Black Friday through Cyber Monday tutorial bundle offer in Kajabi, so if that happens, then I wanted Kajabi, or I wanted actually Zapier, to take the name and email address from Kajabi, and I wanted it to take that client's name and email address and send it to ConvertKit. And I wanted it to add that person's name and email address to ConvertKit with the tag and also, let's just say, adding the tag purchased Black Friday 2016. Okay, now some things that I already knew as a result of working through, what happens if this happens. I'm one of those guys that likes to know what the user experience is going to be all the way from beginning to end. And so I wanted to know what happens if somebody purchased Black Friday through Cyber Monday sale and they're not on my list. What happens then, right? So I did some testing. So here's the deal. If somebody who purchases my Black Friday offer and their email address is already in ConvertKit, then it's not going to add them a second time or anything like that. It'll notice that they're already in there with that email address, and it's simply going to add the tag that says purchased Black Friday 2016. All right. Now, if that person who just purchased my offer was not in ConvertKit, I have learned that it is actually going to add that person's name and email address to ConvertKit and add the tag purchased Black Friday through 2016. Now, this is a little bit outside of, the talking about setting things up here, but just in case you're interested in learning, with ConvertKit, they have this thing called segments. And segments are basically live filters. You can, it automatically updates who is a part of this segment with live filters. And essentially, I created a segment that's titled Not Officially on Email List, Likely Added by Automation. That's actually the name of the segment. It's very long, boring, but very descriptive. So I wanted to actually see a live, always live, updated to date list of anybody who is not officially on my mailing list, meaning they did not sign up, they did not opt in, they did not request to receive regular email updates from me. And it's just got a little note here that if there's anybody that's on this segment, that's a part of the segment, it's likely they were added by automation. All right. Now, in essence, what I did is I went in and told that segment to say, hey, if anybody who is on my mailing list, their name and email address is in ConvertKit, and they did not get here because they, it basically is like anybody who is not a part of this sign-up form, not a part of this sign-up form, not a part of this sign-up form, tell me who they are. And then, it's going to show me. And of course, there were 7 people who are currently on my list who are not, who had not been on my list previously. Now, I want to just say something very important about adding people to lists who are not opting in and specifically asking for your emails. Don't do it. And I will just say this: I'm never going to email these people from Kajabi or from ConvertKit. I will never do it. And I think that it basically, the cool thing about ConvertKit is whenever I send a broadcast email or a sequence, in the rules of who gets this, the delivery option, who gets this, you can always say exclude anyone who is a part of the segment, which is live updated. Anybody who is on my list who is a part of the segment, not officially on this list, likely added by automation, never send those people an email. And so I'm able to do that each time I send an email. I will always exclude that option. And the other thing that I will do is, the cool thing is I can click on that segment. It will give me a list of those people's names and email addresses, and I will personally reach out to those 5 or 7 people, or however many people as I see those people pop up. I will personally reach out to those people and invite them to be a part of my newsletter, asking their permission. Hey, would you like to receive this from me? And if they say yes, then I will subscribe them to one of the forms, and they'll no longer be a part of that segment. And if they say no or they don't respond, then I'll just make sure that they never actually get an email from ConvertKit. And by the way, when I'm personally inviting them, I'm not sending that email via ConvertKit. I am sending it from my personal email address. It is not coming from, they will never get an email from my mailing list provider. And by the way, this is a huge pet peeve. And gosh, guys, seriously, stop adding me to your mailing list. And I know that most of you are not doing that because there are thousands of you listening, but it's only happening 5 to 7 times a week. It's ridiculous how many people who are actually sending me their email, and you're on the mailing list because there's the big required blurb at the bottom about your company, your address, and your unsubscribe link. And of course, I have to click unsubscribe, and then depending on what service you are, I have to actually click another button to unsubscribe. Or there's this question is like, did you? And I always say I never requested to be on this list because I hardly ever request to be on any email list. It's just the way that I am personally. And so there are like 3 email lists that I am on, and that's it's and sometimes I jump off and on those lists depending on the frequency of emails that I get from those individuals. But yeah. Anyway, never send anybody an email. Never add anybody to your list without their permission. And yeah, just don't do that. So, by the way, this whole Zapier thing, what happened is I set it up so that anytime somebody bought, they got this purchased tag, and that took me a total of 10 minutes. Now, again, I spent probably about 4 or 5 hours figuring out how Zapier works, and that I did not spend those 4 or 5 hours figuring it out this past Wednesday when I was setting this up. This was months ago I figured out Zapier, and I'm still learning a lot about Zapier, but certainly how to do what I just did, that took me a total of 10 minutes, and actually a little bit of that was learning curve. Just for the specific services and what the options were for each one of them. But and testing it out, what happens if this happens and what happens if this person's not on the list. So that's why it took me 10 minutes. Still not a lot of time. All right. Then the next step after I did that, I scheduled 6 broadcast emails to promote the sale. All right. I did this in Kajabi. I went into the broadcasts section and I scheduled 6 separate emails. And all the emails were pretty much the same. I tweaked the first introductory lines or statements of each email to, kind of make it different and unique for each of the days. And of course, on the final day, it says, hey, I just want to remind you, today's the final day. Of course, every one of the emails had a different subject line, and every email contained a big, huge call to action button so that it takes them their eyes and their attention. And by the way, one of the things I love about ConvertKit is that you can actually create a button for your call to action inside of the emails. Not something I ever saw as an option with Aweber. Obviously, you could have created an image as a button, but this is actually doing it with some code, and it's actually not doing it as an image as far as I'm aware. But it's really cool. I like it, and it's something that works extremely well of getting people's attention. People are definitely seeing that button and clicking the button. I saw some great click-through rates. It's just incredibly awesome. I love the button. All right. So of course that's in there. And then when it comes to the recipient tool, the question for every scheduled broadcast that you do, it asks you the question, who do you want to receive this broadcast? And so the first option is I want to start off by let's add all my subscribers. Every subscriber that's on my list, I want to add them. All right. And then you can choose the people you want to exclude. And that's where I excluded anyone who had the tag pod1 not interested, which basically is the tag that was added for anyone who got my first email from my newsletter that told me that, hey, Cliff, I do not have a podcast and I'm not interested in creating one. Well, if you don't have a podcast and you're not interested in creating one, then there's no reason you'd be interested in buying 7 tutorials for $199 on podcasting. So I did not want to send that email to those people, or those 6 emails to those people. And then, of course, I automatically excluded anybody who had the tag A to Z alumni. And again, the reason why is because those people already have access to that. And then I wanted to exclude anybody who had the tag not interested in Black Friday 2016. Now, of course, nobody had that tag yet, but as people click that and get that tag added, those scheduled broadcasts will determine who gets the email at the time the email is scheduled to go out. So it just makes sense to me, and it actually made sense. It worked perfectly. But the idea is that when I actually scheduled it, it showed that this would go out to let's just say it's scheduled to go out to 4,000 people, but let's just say 100 people over the course of 3 or 4 days, the first 3 days, say they click that tag or click that link and they get the tag not interested in further Black Friday sale updates. So what happens is the final 2 broadcasts would actually live update, and when they send, they would only go to 3,900 people because it's going to exclude all 100 people who had clicked that link previously. It's so awesome that this is all live, and it's not segments that I have to create. It's just beautiful. I love ConvertKit. All right. And then let's see here. There's the other person that I exclude is purchased Black Friday. And of course, anybody who purchased in Kajabi sent that to Zapier. Sorry, Mark. Sent it to Zapier, and then it sent it on over to ConvertKit, and ConvertKit has the tag. And when it goes to send out a new email, before it sends out that next scheduled email, it says, hey, does anybody have that purchase tag? If so, they're excluded. They won't get the email. Setting up these 6 emails took me about 20 minutes. And most of that was coming up with the wording of the first email. So again, ConvertKit took me some time to figure out leading up to this. But now that I have ConvertKit, that part took me 20 minutes. And then finally, to promote my podcast or my Black Friday through Cyber Monday sale, I wanted to use some social media promotion. So I haven't used Buffer.com for a very long time, but I did this time. I used Buffer.com to schedule all of my social media posts for Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And I was a bit aggressive with my LinkedIn and Twitter posts because I don't use those platforms very often. I see those things as people are just getting a constant flow of things. And I figure, you know what, 5 posts per day, several hours apart from each other, people probably won't even notice that, I posted that often. At least that's my experience for the most part. So I was pretty aggressive there. And then when it came to scheduling some posts for Facebook, I only did, I think, 3 different posts out of the entire 5 days. And I was very strategic about when and what times and stuff like that. And the reason for that is that Facebook, I treat completely different. That's my number one social media platform for engaging with a large and loyal fan base and community. That's where I get the most engagement. And for a while, by the way, yes, Snapchat was my number 1 and Facebook had become my number 2. Facebook is now back at number 1. And by the way, Snapchat is still number 2 for me. So yeah, there's that little side note there. But anyway, I scheduled all of those, and scheduling all of those posts, which is a lot of posts, and they're all unique. They were roughly different. But anyway, scheduling all of that to post with the right images and everything took me about 15 minutes. All right. Now, I went through, and by the way, with my calculator, for those of you who know me and my history with math, I went through and added up all of those steps that I've shared with you. And if you add all of that up, it's actually 2 hours and I think it was like 2 hours and 3 minutes or 2 hours and 2 minutes. But anyway, it was 2 hours to set up everything last Wednesday afternoon. And then all of it's scheduled. It's all automated, everything. And then the very next morning, or actually the rest of that day, I spent packing, had dinner with the family. And then the next morning, we fly to New York City. And we don't come back until late Sunday evening. And get this, I didn't even take my laptop computer. I did take my iPad Pro, did not need to use it for anything. There was nothing that came up. This all went as smoothly as you could possibly imagine. Everything just worked. And that is so awesome. I expected something to happen. I expected somebody to say, hey, this link's not working or this or that. Nope, it all worked. And I'm so happy it all worked. And here's the interesting thing. I enjoyed myself with my family. I came back and I had generated over $6,000 in sales. I'm literally enjoying the city of New York, completely unplugged from my business, literally didn't answer a single email. And by the way, not a single email came in related to this sale. I just came back with over $6,000 more income as a result of that 2 hours worth of work. And the cool thing is that I've done sales in the past where I've sent the emails and I wasn't, I didn't have the tools that ConvertKit gives me. If you purchase the sale, you're still going to get the other 4 emails. If you have no interest in podcasting, you're still going to get the emails. If you're on my list, you get the emails. Not anymore. And I absolutely loved it. It was a great, wonderful experience. Now, with all of that being said, I do want to ask, I want to bring up one thing. I told you at the beginning of this episode, not all of my friends in the social media marketing space offer Black Friday through Cyber Monday sales. I hear them doing, product launches, but I don't often hear people do sales on their courses and their tutorials. Why is that? And I actually have this friend of mine, his name is Derek Halpern. He's an online influencer, and he had some pretty strong words to say about discounting. I think he says discounting is for dummies, and he has lots of reasons why you shouldn't do it. And he had created this video several years ago that got me thinking about, should I continue to offer a discount such as this every year for my Black Friday through Cyber Monday sale? And what I did is, by the way, I'm going to create a show notes page for this episode at podcastanswerman.com/478. Again, that's podcastanswerman.com/478, where you can see the full video of what Derek has to say, including all of his examples of case studies and stuff like that. But what Derek from Social Triggers does is he actually talks about business and marketing from a psychological perspective. He studies these studies in psychology and how can that psychology be applied to sales. And here is what Derek has to say. This is edited down. I edited this down about half of the amount of time for sake of including it here.
I hate discounting as a marketing strategy, and if you're smart, you should hate it too. I'm Derek Halpern, the founder of Social Triggers, and in this video, you'll learn 2 things. First, I'll show you why you should never discount your products and services. And second, I'll show you what you can do instead so you can still generate a huge spike in sales. Discounting is like a highly addictive drug. Once you start doing it, you get addicted and so do your customers. You like the sales spike, your customers like getting a great deal. And if you keep doing it, that's when things turn bad. The first problem is, once you train your customers and prospects to expect a discount, they won't buy without it. In fact, even the smell of a discount can kill a sale. A friend of mine was selling tickets to their event and had a spot for a coupon code on the sales page. Someone emailed me and said, "Derek, I noticed there's a spot for a coupon code. Do you have one for me?" There weren't coupon codes, but the mere mention of it made this person delay a purchase to search for one, even though one didn't exist. What's funny is, he ended up not buying the ticket. So don't even have an option for a coupon code on your sales page. The second huge problem with discounting is that it erodes the value of your brand in the eyes of your prospects and customers. So the big burning question is, well, if I can't discount to spike sales, what can I do instead? Well, instead of lowering your price, you should always add value. As an example, let's say you're a life coach. You've got some openings for new clients and you're worried you might not fill them. So you think, let me run a quick sale. You'd be an idiot for doing that. Instead, you could run a promotion where for the next 7 days, everyone who pays full price for your life coaching will get something additional at no extra cost. Maybe a 15-minute laser coaching session, or 7 days of email support, or a free ebook. By adding more value, you're getting new clients to pay full price and enticing them to act now before the promotion ends. To recap, don't discount, add value. It's the right thing to do for your business for long-term growth.
All right, so there you go. And by the way, I don't completely disagree with pretty much anything that Derek is saying there. First, he talks about these problems. The first problem he talked about is that it's a highly addictive drug. And I will tell you, there is a high. There are endorphins that come in with being away on vacation with your family for 5 days and coming back and having $6,000 in income that was generated that for work you've already done. That is incredible. That sales spike feels great. There's no question about it. And he says, and this is what I want to point out. This is what he says. He says, The problem starts is when you start doing it over and over again. And the problem starts is that if you all of a sudden train your customers to consistently, he didn't say this, but I think it's insinuated. If they consistently expect a discount, then they won't buy without it. Now, for me personally, I've done this once a year. I've done this sparingly. And because I've only done it once a year, I've never experienced the problem where my customers are not buying my products without a discount. It's for those who've been following me for years. And by the way, I know all of the people who purchased the Black Friday sale. I click through, I look to see who they are, and many of these people have been with me for years in my community, and they're aware that I do these Black Friday sales. And by the way, there are people that I look to see who buy my tutorials when I'm not doing this sale. And I've seen people who have seen my Black Friday sales in the past. They know my next Black Friday sale is probably going to have a really amazing deal on my tutorials. And if I go back to 3 months ago, several of those people who knew that this was coming still ended up purchasing a tutorial that they needed at the moment because it filled their need at that time, and they still saw the value in it. Now, definitely want to tell you that even the smell of a discount can kill a sale. Don't put a spot for a coupon code on the checkout page. Man, I can totally vouch for this. While I've overcome the problem a couple times where somebody has found me via Google, they see my equipment page, they click on it, and it's got a discount code. By the way, that's the only thing right now that I still have going through eJunkie, and eJunkie unfortunately still has a discount code in that little box. Anyway, the thing is though, is these folks have from time to time said, hey, I just found you, I see your equipment sales, I want to buy your package, but I noticed there's a discount code. Can you please give me a discount? I would definitely buy from you if I could get a discount. If that discount code was there, they probably would have already made that purchase. And there have been several times I've explained to people, I say, listen, I have that discount code there because I offer many products, and there are some that I offer discounts on. Unfortunately, my equipment sale is not one of them. My email, and by the way, this is all pre-written because I've had this question several times, and I spent a lot of time formulating how I was communicating this, but right now I'm just giving it to you from memory off the top of my head. But in essence, it says, let me explain to you about my equipment package and the value as it is at full price. I'm sure if you were to do a comparison on all the items that are listed on the page that are included, you'll find that you'll pay the exact same price or within a few dollars anywhere else that you see this online. The interesting thing is that there's not one place where you can buy all of these items. There are some of these items that are made specifically by certain suppliers that sell that item, but not any of the other items or some of the other items. So this is the only place where you can get every item that you see on the page in one order on one box, and you're getting the exact cables that I know work and hook up to the right things, so you don't have to worry about buying the wrong cables. And not only that, if you were to price it and still see that they all have, you also have the added benefit of a few tutorials that tell you how to operate and hook this stuff up. And so I think that you'll find that this is a pretty sweet deal, even at full price. I hope that you find that that's the case. I look forward to your potential purchase, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, and several people have purchased after receiving that response. However, and by the way, I desperately want to eventually get around to updating a sales page for that particular product. So it actually has so much of that written in there. It still doesn't say any of that. Anyway, it's on my priority list. If you go back and listen to last week's episode 477, you'll know why I have not done that yet and that I will eventually get to it. But anyway, yeah, discount code. I'm certain I've lost sales as a result of a discount code being available. And that's one of the things I love about Kajabi. I can actually do some discount codes in Kajabi, and it does put the discount code in there on any items that have a discount code that's eligible. I love the fact that you can do it for some and not for all of your offers or products or whatever the case may be. But man, I got to tell you, I absolutely love the fact that I just create different offers. I don't have to create discount codes. I can just create different offers, and I can mix and match and combine any type of products into different. I love Kajabi as well. Anyway, I'm very happy with the decisions that I've made in my technology additions this year, as you can tell. Let's see here. So the last problem that he talks about, he says discounting erodes the value of your brand in the eyes of your prospects and customers. And again, I think that I would agree with this if you are overdoing it. I certainly don't believe that this has been anywhere remotely close to a problem when it comes to my doing a Cyber Monday through or Black Friday through Cyber Monday sale over the past several years. And what I can tell you is that there have been plenty of people who have purchased, individual tutorials more than $200 worth a week, 10 days, or even 3 days before this sale went live. And then all of a sudden they get the email on the mailing list that says that, hey, I'm offering this Black Friday sale. I've had plenty of people who have spent $300 and then they actually spent the $200 to get the rest of them, to get this whole package. And they eventually were going to buy all of them anyway. And so they what is that? That's $500. They still saved $100. And in their mind, they were not upset about that. And in fact, the value of those tutorials are well beyond the $100 or the $50 that I charge for them. And I have some ways that I can communicate that value. I don't necessarily need to do that here for validation for you guys right now, but yeah, it's there. So he says Derek's solution is don't discount. He says add value. And, he gave some examples: offer free 15-minute laser coaching sessions, 7 days of free email support, offer a free ebook. These are all great marketing ideas and things that I'll probably implement with some of my service offerings at some point in the future. But here's the thing. When it comes to I'm getting ready to leave town, I'm going to be gone for 5 days, I want to create this Black Friday through Cyber Monday sale. It's an opportunity that I just know that people are willing and looking for bargains. There are a lot of people on my list that have been thinking about some of my products and services, or some of my people on my list are looking for products and services from me, and they don't even know that I actually have that store yet, or whatever the case may be. And if I just spent some time setting this up, I could make some sales. And by offering this amazing discounted opportunity, this, I only do it once a year. This is your opportunity right now. I didn't come home and all of a sudden I've got, 30 people that I have to do 15-minute coaching sessions for. I don't have to have 30 people that are given 7 days of email access to answer all their support questions. I don't have all of these people that I didn't have to write an ebook or hire somebody to do it for me and oversee the project. None of that. Instead, I offered a discount. I saw the spike in sales. Yes, it's addicting. Yes, it's tempting to say, you know what, let's do a Christmas sale. Yes, let's do I don't know, what is that Irish holiday? The one where everybody goes out and drinking at the pubs. I can't even think the name of it. You know what I'm talking about. St. Patrick's Day sale and whatever. I'm not going to do that. I do see the warning signs there, and I just wanted to share my experience with you. That's pretty much what I've done. My Black Friday through Cyber Monday sale, that's how I did it. Thank you, Kajabi, for doing that, for making that possible. By the way, if you are thinking about signing up for Kajabi, you keep hearing me talk about it. I have an affiliate link with them. It's podcastanswerman.com/Kajabi. That's podcastanswerman.com/Kajabi, Kajabi. And definitely ConvertKit. If you guys are thinking about ConvertKit, if you're thinking about an email list, I cannot tell you how much I wish I had ConvertKit earlier. Man, ConvertKit is a total game changer, even more of a game changer than Kajabi, and Kajabi is massive for me. So guys, if you're thinking about a mailing list, use my affiliate link over there for ConvertKit. It's podcastanswerman.com/ConvertKit. podcastanswerman.com/ConvertKit. Life-changing stuff. It'll take you some time to figure it out, but trust me, it's all worth it. And with that, my friends, I'm going to wrap things up here. Just a reminder, my next session of Podcasting A to Z is coming up on Monday, January 2nd. That is 1 month from when this podcast episode is released. So if you want to have me as your personal coach, walking you through every step of successfully launching your podcast, answering every single question you could possibly ask me over a 4-week period of time, and guaranteed that I will answer every single one of those questions. Head over to podcastingatoz.com today. And by the way, one more thing. I know that I'm over time today, but I almost forgot to tell you, I am going to be doing a webinar with my friend Blake over at ConvertKit about email lists. And specifically, we're going to talk about how to get your first 100 subscribers if you're just starting out, or whether you're just starting out or you already have a mailing list. One tactic that will help you get 1,000 email subscribers within 7 days. And I just want to say that this webinar is going to be valuable even if you don't use ConvertKit, although trust me, at this point, I highly recommend it. But these tactics will work no matter who your email provider is. And for those of you who are at least intrigued and you want to see a little bit of the behind the scenes of how automations work within ConvertKit, we're actually going to show that on the webinar as well. That webinar is going to be on Friday, December 16th at 1 p.m. Eastern time. And if you want to register for this free webinar that we're hosting, it is going to be over at podcastanswerman.com/email webinar. All one word, podcastanswerman.com/email webinar. Of course, there'll be a link in the show notes over at podcastanswerman.com/478. Well, with that, my friends, I'm going to wrap up finally. I promise this time. And until next week, I encourage you to take everything you do to the next level.
Podcast Answer Man.